Hello everyone, my name is T Hunter. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back and thank you so much for coming back. So for today's topic, I wanted to discuss my experience with purity, and I'm going to entitle this video, When No Is Not Enough. So for those who know me and those who don't, I am a believer, firm believer of Jesus Christ, and I was born and raised in a Christian household. Went to church, Sunday school, YPWW, district meetings, convocations, we did it all. Went to a Christian school and everything. So from the home to the church to the school, when it came to purity, I was receiving the same message: wait until marriage. And I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I believe that message, it really helped me to avoid a lot of heartache, and it definitely helped me to put things into perspective as far as there are things that you will and will not be able to do depending on the choices that you make. I remember as a kid, seeing commercials where, different PSAs as far as, teen pregnancy. And there was two in particular that stood out to me. There was a young girl, she looked like she could have been about maybe 11 years old. And she said that she wanted to be a ballerina. And I distinctly remember her saying one way to mess all of that up would be if she were to get pregnant at an early age. Because then she knew that the dreams that she had for herself would have to be postponed. So I'm not knocking any teen mom or teen father at all. And the life that you knew, it definitely changes once you have children, and it can change drastically at any age. Becoming a young parent, I don't know what that's like. I can only imagine how life changes and what it looks like if you do happen to have a child, whether you're in middle school or high school, when you start young. Now, the other PSA that I saw, it was a young lady who looked like she could have been anywhere between the ages of maybe like 15 and 17, and she had 2 children. And she was saying, I don't want to continue living like this. And she didn't specify like what this meant, but I could see definitely the pain in her eyes as she described what it's like being a teen mom. And who knows if the father was present or not. For this particular commercial, they did not have him present. So there's that narrative as well. So I want to say, actually, I don't even remember what age I was. I just knew at a young age, like elementary, middle school age, that I wanted to wait until marriage before having sex. Because I'm seeing these PSAs, like you see both sides of the coin. The woman the young woman who has the children, and the young girl that says, I don't want to have children young because my dreams and my life, as I'm trying to plan it out, will have to, take a back seat because I have to prioritize my children should I have some. And the best form, of protection from having a child young or contracting an STD is abstinence. So in my mind, I'm thinking, perfect. I will never have to worry about a pregnancy scare. I will never have to worry about, sexually transmitted diseases if I just abstain from all sex. That includes oral. Because, yeah, you can definitely contract STDs through oral sex. And that's why it always baffles me when I hear male and female opinions where they don't really equate oral sex to being actual sex, even though there is a form of penetration. Okay, let me not dwell there too long. But yeah, it's very possible for you to contract an STD, even if you're not doing what some people would consider to be real sex. Yeah. So, sorry for the tangent. As I stated, I knew at a really young age that I wanted to abstain from sex until I got married. My main fear was, getting the STD or getting pregnant, because with the sexually transmitted disease, if it's bacterial or if it's viral, there is a possibility for a cure or a possibility for treatments where it won't be as obvious that you've been infected. But how many of you know that you cannot hide having a child? For women, our bodies change and, we expand to make room for the child. So it's very evident when you are pregnant. For men, if you are on the phone and you have a child, that child at some point is going to make their presence known in the background. And, you can be on the phone. Oh, you have a kid? I didn't know that. You cannot hide having a child. Yeah, those were like the two biggest fears of mine around if I did not practice abstinence, I'm going to get pregnant or I'm going to get an STD. But most importantly, I'm going to get pregnant, I'm going to have a child, and there's a possibility that the father might not want to be involved if I do it at a really young age because the maturity isn't there. And not saying that it's just on the male's behalf, like the maturity wouldn't be there for me, but if I'm going to be a good mother, I would have to grow up, faster than maybe I wanted to because I have to prioritize this child and their life and their well-being. Yeah. So at age 14, on my 14th birthday, my godmother actually bought me a purity ring. And so it had a heart, a cross, and a key. And I wore it on my left ring finger, until the day that I got married. I did not take that ring off until after my husband and I said I do. I believe that I switched it over to my right hand on the wedding day though. Yeah, I did. But God definitely kept me and he blessed me to keep the covenant that I made, to him, where I said, God, I want to be pure as far as sex is concerned. I want to wait until marriage. I want to listen to the advice that my elders have given me, those who waited and those who didn't, because they know from experience what happens when you engage in sex. And sex is a form of worship. It's the closest connection that you can have to another person. And God invented it. No, Trey Songz did not, but God did. So it's not a bad thing. And I think that sex can get a really bad rep because for those of us who grew up in Christian homes where we were taught to abstain, sometimes we didn't get the context around why we're being told no. Our parents want us to avoid heartache. They want us to avoid pain. They want us to avoid unexpected pregnancies. They want us to avoid, health issues. So they're telling us, wait until you get married. Save yourself for your husband, save yourself for your wife. This is the best gift that you can give your spouse. If we're lucky, they're saying that. But for those who might not have been so lucky and all you heard was don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, that becomes instilled into your mind. I know it did for me. So, imagine my surprise when, it's time for me to get married and my bridal shower rolls around. And so, of course, those of us who've been to bridal showers, ladies, you know what to expect. There's certain types of clothing that you're gifted. And if you were a virgin like me, it's like, okay, so I spent all of these years abstaining, all of these years doing my best not to carry myself in a way that could miscommunicate how I want to be treated in relationships, to now, here's this garment. Now go and flourish and be a video vixen, or at least have that type of appeal. Yeah, I have said this before and I will say it again. When I said I do, there was no software that I could download to now be ready for sex. Because for years, the message was wait until you're married, wait until you're married. And let's just be honest, you're only going to be good at the things that you've practiced. So there's a lot of pressure around being good at something that, as a virgin, I had never practiced. So that's why I think it's important to give the context. My daughter she's only a year old, but I'm already thinking about what types of conversations I want to have with her around sex and purity and abstinence and celibacy. And, you know, from each stage of her life, wanting to make sure that I'm giving her age appropriate advice. So of course I'm going to be praying, asking, you know, like, Holy Ghost, tell me what to say to her. At the end of the day, the choice will definitely be hers. All I can do is share my experience and hopefully deliver it in a way that it doesn't come across as, you know, judgmental of those who did not wait like I did, but more from the point, from the stance of, you know, I love you and the temptation is out there. So if you make the vow before you get into relationships, it's going to be easier to keep it because you've already made up in your mind and you've already told God, you know, God, I want to abstain from having sex, and so I need you to keep me. So if I happen to be tempted, if I get curious, you know, I can go back to that vow that I made to you and ask you for strength, ask you for comfort, ask you for peace, ask you for protection. So I guess I would just say, you know, for those of you who are parents or, you know, one day would hope to be parents, don't be afraid to be transparent with your experience with your children, and, you know, ask God to help you, you know, for those of you who are believers. Yeah, just consider your audience as far as how old, you know, your children are. That is pretty much all that I wanted to share for today. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a post. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.